Budget Committee meeting for Thursday, June 9, 2022, 4 o'clock p.m. Robbie, if you would, call the roll, please.
Okay. Commissioner Creasy? Present. Commissioner Denenberg? Here. Commissioner Fritz? Commissioner Jameson? Commissioner Smallridge? Here. Commissioner Waddell? Commissioner White? Commissioner Bow?
Here. Let the record reflect we do have a quorum. If y'all will join me as we go to the Lord in prayer, and then I will, since I forgot to ask someone ahead of time, lead us in the pledge. Heavenly Father, thank you, Lord, once again for the opportunity to gather together, Father, to represent your people. Lord, most of all, we thank you, Father, for that opportunity to accept your salvation, Father, that only you, your Son, can give. Please forgive us of our sins, times, Father, that we fail you so miserably each and every day. Lord, we pray, God, for this meeting, that you'd be in the midst, Father. You'd be with each heart, each mind. Lord, as we try to do what's right, let the Holy Ghost guide us in our decisions. Lord, ever remembering, Father, that you are the one who gives all wisdom. All this we ask in Jesus' holy name. Amen. Attention, salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, and the first item on our agenda tonight is our public hearing for the 22-23 fiscal year's budget. And please let the record reflect that Commissioner Fritz is present. Anyone want to approach the committee today on any issues regarding the proposed 22-23 fiscal year's budget? Going once, going twice. All right, let the record reflect that ample opportunity was given for anyone to come and address the Budget Committee in reference to the 22-23 fiscal year's budget. Moving on with the agenda, Robbie, cash and fund balance report.
Thank you, Chairman. For the general fund, unrestricted funds, $945,796. Committed funds are $1.7 million. Assigned funds, $3.1 million. Unassigned fund balance is $7.1 million, for a total fund balance of $12,992,447. Cash for May was $17,866,639, which is up some $700,000 from last year at this time. Any questions on the fund balance report? Okay, I'll jump into sales tax quickly. The county was down 8% from last April at this time. $4,055,322. Last April it was $4,403,057. The county is, the Anderson County portion was down 17%, but we still had $516,120 for April. It just happened to be last April was $624,000, so we had a really good last April. But as you can see, the line is starting to get just leveling off or getting under a little bit, but we're still ahead for this fiscal year in sales tax for the county.
Let the record reflect Commissioner Jameson is present. Any questions to Robbie on the cash and fund balance report?
I got it.
Or the sales tax report, I'm sorry.
Thank you. Yeah.
Commissioner Smallridge, go ahead,
Yeah,
sir.
I just wanted to ask, anything specific? It was a fairly significant drop in April. Is that attributable to anything specific or just?
Probably, to be honest, just the cost of everything else in inflation would be my guess. If you're talking about sales tax, people are spending more money on gas and groceries than.
But I was speaking of the drop in April, right? Wasn't there a pretty significant?
Are you talking about the cash and fund balance?
No, sales. I was talking about the sales tax.
That's what I'm saying. I think probably attribute to the gas prices and grocery and the cost of living increase more so than people don't have as much money to spend on, ordering.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay,
Internet.
I misunderstood.
That's what I'm thinking.
More costs have gone up, and
Exactly. Just the
I've seen
cost
more
of,
surveys, people talking about how they're having to distribute how they're spending things and watching how they're spending on things
Yeah.
to make up for the higher cost of stuff.
that would be my guess too.
Any further questions? If not, before we get started on the regular agenda, I believe ACTV has requested to move up. They have, I think 4 or 5 different events going on at the same time today, and they do a great job covering for us. So if there's no objection to that, we'll go ahead and allow Mr. Sutton to address the committee. Any objection to that? Go on, Mr. Sutton. Thank you, sir. You have the floor.
That would be Section A in your
Section A.
agendas.
Thank you, Commissioner Val and Budget Committee. This proposal, these couple proposals that I had started with Commissioner McCamey and myself and a conversation that we had with regards to some things that we wanted to address with the commission, which led me to Mr. Holbrook having a conversation with how ACTV is funded, as well as where it is and where it has been in the past in relationship to what we do now versus what we do or what we did in 2006, 2007 when we started the station. I think the most important piece in this is derived from the budget and how ACTV is actually funded. As Mr. Holbrook and I spoke about this, is that a lot of folks do not know how that is funded, and you guys may know how that is funded, but I wanted to make sure I clarified so you know exactly where the money for ACTV comes from, so that the request that I have towards the bottom of my piece of paper here will make a little bit more sense. It is funded currently by 4 separate sources. The first source is we receive a check from the Clinton City, which allows us $10,000 on our budget there, which contributes to the activities that we do for those folks. Anderson County Schools currently contributes $20,000 to our budget. And then where it gets a little tricky is 3 and 4. If you are a Comcast or AT&T cable subscriber in Anderson County, you pay what's called a franchise fee. And what that is that is a 5% tax on your cable on the programming content portion of your cable bill. And currently, and since basically the inception of ACTV, we have received 40% of that total revenue for our budget. And that breaks down like this. It is approximately $35,000 quarterly for us, and AT&T's is $1,700 quarterly for us. So that gives us a total budget of $180,000 a year to run ACTV. In the beginning of ACTV, the first year of construction, we used the money that we received from you as well as the school and the Clinton City to construct it before we hired Andy on there. And we built the station before it was actually on air. Then at that point in time, the responsibilities of the station were to cover county commission, as well as some school events, city council, city school board, county school board. And those were the only things that we covered. In the time from then till now, we have grown quite big. Last year, from August 2021 to May 2022, we covered over 250 programs in that period of time, which Andy works 260 days a year, so that's basically a program a day that Andy has been responsible for. We do have, like Commissioner Val spoke about, we do have multiple things that do go on at the same time. Today we have Will in the back, he's doing the budget meeting today. So we do have things that we have other employees that work per contract to do those events for us if we have multiple school events or multiple meetings on that day. So we have been responsible for 250 different things this year, and I've got the breakdown, 78 events, 7 graduations, and you can follow the different meetings that we have. What that leads me to is Andy, in the beginning, his salary has not changed very much at all. and his responsibilities has increased quite a bit over that time. We were only outputting on Comcast Channel 95 in the beginning of this, and of course we were doing that 24 hours a day, but now we have grown to, we output on Comcast Cable Channel 95, AT&T UVerse Channel 99, as well as we have an ACTV1 for some of our events, and if we have a simultaneous event that we want to air live, we also have an ACTV2. So we have 2 streaming channels, as well as we have an Apple TV, Roku app, and we're available on the Comcast Stream app as well for the customers of Comcast. So there's been quite a bit of added responsibility for Andy. Andy came to me and said that, you know, my responsibilities have grown, and I want to respect Andy's wishes, and I would like to propose that I give Andy a raise to bring him up to $52,000 a year, which is an increase of $5,900 a year on his salary. With that in mind, we have to look at where that funding would come from. And where I'm looking at that funding come from is I would love to bring our percentage of our 40% revenue that we are currently receiving from the Comcast franchising fee to up to 50%, which would give us room to have more money in our budget to pay our part-time workers, as we did exceed that this year. Robbie helped me with that as well. But we exceeded that because we're covering so many different programs. So I would like to have a little bit of additional funding on that 10% additional to have that 50-50 split with County Commission in order to also pay for Andy's raise. So that would be the proposal there for those 2 things.
Commissioner Fritz.
I've got a quick question, with the breakdown here. These have probably been the set fees from the very beginning, and maybe the mayor and our finance director can answer this question. Has this always been the same? Have we ever talked to maybe ask the city of Clinton and whatever, maybe eventually to increase what they contribute? Because the cost of doing business goes up over a period of time, and what we might start from the very, very beginning, maybe one thing, but how many years we've had this, that might, 10,000, how many years ago was one thing, but that doesn't really cover the cost of what it might be, what we're doing today, especially even fuel costs, as we know, and everything else.
So
has
one of the
anything ever been approached to city council about maybe upping their contributions and things of that nature?
I'm glad that you said that. This afternoon, I spoke with Ms. Minton from the school department, and she spoke to Mr. Holbrook with regards to that. I am a supplemental employee for ACTV. I oversee the operations and daily projects and stuff like that for Andy. I prepare the budget, I purchase things, I do administrative work for ACTV, and I receive a $10,000 supplement for that work. And Ms. Minton proposed today to myself and Mr. Holbrook that Anderson County Schools would pick up my supplement to increase our budgetary amount to take care of my supplement, so that supplement also contributes to my retirement. Because currently, due to the rules of TCRS, I cannot contribute the supplement that I receive from Anderson County Television to go to my retirement. So she offered to pay additional monies to ACTV in order to pay for my supplement to increase our budget as well that way. I have not approached Clinton City, as it is probably our least covered entity, as the only thing that we do for those folks now. We do a few graduations for the schools there, as well as their city council meeting and their school board meeting. So the amount of services that we offer them, I would not feel comfortable with going to the council and requesting more information or more money from them due to the fact that we do not do as much work for the city as we do for the county and the county school system.
Well, I just wondered, they were willing to pay, what, 10,000, how many years ago?
That was in 2006, 2007, yeah.
And so that's been, how many, so,
I'm not good at math in my head.
so it's 2016 and 17, 18, 19, 20.
14, 15
21,
years.
22, 16
Yeah,
years
yeah.
ago.
Yeah. Yeah, so,
So, surely, they would understand that in 16 years or, things, even though it's a small amount, the costs do go up.
absolutely, absolutely. It's
So
definitely.
even though, it might be a token amount, a few thousand, would help
Well,
defer
and two,
cost.
I think also when you're covering Clinton High School football or basketball, that's a city event too, because there's the city children go to that school. But just a couple of things, the Anderson County Schools, it's on here 20. I looked it up today because Julie, they donate 25.
Oh, 25.
So they don't 25, and of the 40% franchise, the 40-60 split, the general fund receives about 200,000 of that, and Channel 95 receives 145,000 of that money. So with what they have requested or suggested that the schools will pay Ryan's salary, that would free up about $12,000 in benefits and salary from Fund 127, which would put them in with a surplus budget, even with the change for Andy's salary. But they don't have a huge fund balance, and like Commissioner Fritz has said, things haven't increased. This has been this way since the very beginning. It may be something we want to take a look at and bring more numbers back. I mean, we can amend a budget even after the budget's, we obviously amend the budget. This is what budget meetings are about. We amend the budget every month. But,
I mean, this is something I would support,
right.
but I would like to, if I make a motion, to accept this, I'd like to add a thing that, we, request that they do, approach the city of Clinton, cause they say 16 years, costs do go up.
Absolutely. I would be more than happy to do
And
that as well.
even though it would be a whole lot, but over a period of time, there needs to be an increase.
Absolutely. I'd be happy to do that as well.
I make a motion to approve, and that we also ask that you approach the city council for an adjustment in their contribution.
Motion made by Commissioner Fritz to approve this increase with the addition of contacting the city of Clinton and requesting they also increase. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
That is seconded by Commissioner Denenberg. Any further discussion?
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner White, go ahead, sir.
Commissioner Fritz, what happens to your motion if the city of Clinton does not ante up?
Well, that's what I'm saying, I'm just requesting that they do, and hopefully that they understand that over 16 years, costs do go up, and they'll do the honorable thing, and,
Okay, Robbie, if the city of Clinton chooses not to raise the ante, where does this money come from then? This
Well,
this
he's
fee?
asking for a 50-50 split from the cable TV franchise, which right now it's 40-60.
Okay, that's the backup.
If they get a 50-50 split, they have a surplus budget and plus. I mean, so I'm not sure I'd do a 50-50. I mean, I'm not trying to be.
I understand.
Right. So currently we get $200,000 of this money. If we do a 50-50 split, then we're getting, 160 and they're getting 160, well, 345, 170 and 170. So we're losing 30,000, but, the general fund can absorb that loss.
Sound like a plan. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir. Commissioner Smalley, go ahead, sir.
Yeah, Robbie, I think you were commenting that maybe this is something we ought to possibly look at in the
Well,
future.
I wouldn't mind doing the numbers with Ryan's salary moving to the school department and seeing what the budget with the raise for Andy and what the budget, the revenue and expenditures, and seeing where they're at. I mean, their fund balance isn't large, it's $60,000. I even approached Ryan. It's funny when he called me, because I had approached him. I woke up one night thinking about this, because I think, how do they get more revenue? I know that's stupid, but. And I thought, well, maybe the general fund could make a $10,000 donation like the city of Clinton does. I mean, that right there would get them out of the hole, but it's not, as Commissioner Fritz always talks about, several years down the road, they're going to be in the same boat. Like, every time we give a cost of living raise or whatever, their expenditures go up, but their revenues aren't going up. So, I mean, I do think they need more money. I'm in agreement with that.
Our revenues actually, I believe, for the first time ever did not reach our budget, what we had budgeted for, because folks are cutting cable TV. They're switching to streaming devices. And when Andy and I talk about the services that we provide for Anderson County, and when Jay first approached Johanna Whitley with regards to the construction of ACTV, it was about the transparency of government and the importance of that. And we realized very early on that streaming was the way to reach people. So you don't have to subscribe to, of course, Comcast to watch ACTV, which is a deterrent for people to subscribe to Comcast, not that they would necessarily do that for that reason. But it's available to anybody for free online 24 hours a day. We also have everything on the YouTube page as well as our app so that they can watch back. So to provide that service to where Andy and I meet in where we see that this is transparency in government, this is our purpose in what we do, we offer that for free to folks, which actually in turn kind of hurts in a way because people are cutting that cable and switching to the streaming platforms for service instead of receiving that 5% from their bill.
And that might be something down the line, our next franchise fee we have to look into, is that since more online is coming up, how do we equate more of the online? Or, I don't know how to work around that, but I know that there'll be, probably have to be approached down the line next time the franchise agreement's up.
How to adapt to that
Yeah.
change. Because the FCC regulates Comcast and tells them that they have to have a governmental channel in this area. That's why ATT had to cover us as well, is that it's a required service. Whereas if someone subscribes to a YouTube TV or a Hulu TV or any of those type services, they're not required to have those local channels like ours on their services, like the FCC requires.
I mean, this is one thing I've learned very quickly as a commissioner, is how, because I didn't think nobody watched county commission meetings. And I learned very quickly, when I would, before I would get home, I'd start getting calls about the meetings and everything. And matter of fact, I think every one of us here will get calls if we're not talking into the microphones even during the meetings.
Yeah.
So the popularity of this network and this channel is so big in Anderson County, and the number of people watches not only for the meetings but for the sporting events that y'all cover.
We have some strict. Of course, we can't tell what people are doing on their TV at home. They're watching Channel 95, but we have numbers that we can tell who's watching it on. We also simulcast on Facebook. A lot of the things we do on Twitter, a lot of the things we do, especially for athletics in schools. We don't do that for county commission as the comments build up. We just leave it on ACT. So,
No doubt.
yeah, I think it's best for all of us there that way. But with that said, we have, if we were to, Commissioner Val hosted the Lake City talent show, and during that show I was monitoring our views. And it gives us by 3 seconds and 1 minute and 30-second views how long folks tune in. We had over 700 people that tuned in to that for over 30 seconds, which is a retention number in streaming. So just to showcase the kids and what we're doing in our schools, as well as athletically, you can see that we've tried to add a sport recently every year. Andy and I are learning about wrestling as well as volleyball, but wrestling has been one of our most popular things that we've done. We cover our district duel with Anderson County, Clinton, and a couple other teams. So we're trying, in the effort of asking for this money, I don't want it to be an empty ask. I want it to be an ask to where you have faith in what we're doing as far as the coverage that we have, because we are trying to add additional programming to ACTV for our county and for the betterment of our station. We want to do more of that. And by having this, that's the way that I see that we can add more what we call seasonal employees that do work for us, as well as we can offer things. I don't know if anybody is a Ciderville Music Show fan, but we also have that, which is very, very popular in a segment of the population. So we offer that as well. And that is, we have to pay our hosts to be there. We have to pay folks to be there and do that. So that's how we do that is we have more money to be able to offer those things.
Commissioner Smart?
Yeah, I guess I'd like to have a chance to look a little closer at the numbers.
Absolutely.
The discussion, and it's not that I would be opposed to it necessarily. I know you guys are doing a very good job. As Robbie points out, we can always amend the budget, but I'd feel more comfortable with a little closer look at the numbers.
Absolutely. Sounds great. And if anybody has any questions as far as what we do or would like to come see, we've not had folks in ACTV since COVID is when we started our construction right at COVID. So we'd love to show you what it looks like now. I think that you would be very proud of what ACTV looks like. If you've seen our talk show sets and what we do, we would love to have you there. We're doing a little construction now. We did today, but we'd love to have you there, and we're planning an open house event in August to kind of have folks back if COVID remains at the low numbers that it is now. So,
Commissioner Creasy, go ahead, sir.
Yeah, I probably need some explanations. I'm a little bit confused. The Anderson County Television, don't they have their own board of directors?
we do, yes. We have our own board of directors, which sits representatives from different municipalities, yes, correct.
And I'm not raising these questions about the raise but I think he deserves a raise.
I do too.
But now, how did the Anderson County TV Board handle your request?
We have not met recently with the Anderson County TV Board. I have spoken to the members that do attend. We have had difficulty as of late to receive a quorum, as we have no representative from Comcast that has been attentive since his name was Andreas, was our last one. I have not received information with regards to our other one. Our representative from AT&T, Alan Hill, he has not attended any meeting ever and will not respond to any calls or any communications that we have. So we run into quorum issues with regards to voting for certain things like that. What I wanted to do after the election cycle was over and there were new commissioners in place is somewhat redesign that with Jay's help so that we could more effectively have meetings. Because when I have tried to schedule a meeting, I cannot get a quorum to vote on certain things. But I have spoken with the active members of the Anderson County Television Committee, and they are all in support of this. And I know that that's not a great thing as far as a piece of paper that I can say that here's the vote for this, but they are in support of this as well.
Do we need to meet with the board first?
I don't know if we get a quorum.
Because this came quick, so
Yeah.
we just were talking and then we just started moving. Does anybody know for sure?
It looks, the way I would see the way the TV board works, they should be the one giving you the raise, in my opinion. Am I wrong in thinking that?
I do not believe you're wrong at all in that regard. It just would, at this point right now, I do not believe that I could have enough voting power on that meeting that to even have a meeting, as though I don't have representatives from some of the bodies that will attend the meetings.
Yeah. And I'm also, I don't like the motion the way it's made. If we're gonna bring Clinton into this, I think that should be a separate motion. If we want to vote on a raise for our employee, then I think that should be a motion on its own and should stand that way and us vote on it, if that's appropriate. But I kind of think that the TV board should be handling the raise, in my opinion. I may be wrong. Yeah. Right.
I'd be happy to make an ad hoc board if you'd like to do that, for sure.
Are you willing to take the Clinton out of this motion? I don't like adding Clinton, City of Clinton, to motion tied to the raise. That seems inappropriate to me.
problem. I think a separate motion for that. That'd be fine.
Okay, so, just so we can keep on track, do you want to, I guess for sake of housekeeping, withdraw the original motion or amend the original motion?
I'll amend the motion to
Okay.
remove Clinton, and I'll remake the motion for Clinton.
I can support a single motion for his raise.
Okay, so Commissioner Fritz moves to amend the motion on the floor to remove the aspect of asking Clinton to increase their contribution. Do we have a second on that amendment? Seconded by Commissioner Denenberg. Any discussion on the amendment? Hearing none. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed say no. Motion carried. Now back on the original motion as amended, which is just to approve.
I'm not sure I still like that or not, but,
Okay. And Robbie, just for clarification, make sure I think I understand what we're doing. With the school department upping Mr. Sutton's part, that frees up the money that's already in their budget to give Andy the increase that they're requesting. Is that correct? So technically, the only thing that this committee needs to approve is that switch. The money's there. We're not adding any money to their budget at this point.
That's one of the proposals on this. He's also asking for a 50-50 split. Now, I can bring the numbers back for that if you would like. And just to offer some advice too about a salary, we can approve a salary. If you want a recommendation from his board, which I don't know that he can get, but we can approve a salary adjustment and make it retroactive to July 1st in August, September, October. I mean, not saying that we should wait that long. I'm just saying we don't have to do this today if you want more information. But there is the money there with what the schools have agreed to do to, it's only like a $5,000 difference with the 5% I've already put in the budget. So there's enough, more than enough, yes.
So everybody understand what the motion is now? Any further discussion?
hold on. I think this deserves more discussion, actually. What you're saying is we have a Anderson County TV board that's ineffective.
At this moment, yes, it very much is due to the vendors not contributing to their roles in it, yes.
Yeah. And I think it should have been their place to approach the city of Clinton if they were wanting to increase their revenues. They should handle those kind of requests. That board should, in my opinion. And if they're ineffective, then you impress that on me, Catherine, then we need to also address that issue somewhere along the line as county commission.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think we ought to be bringing that up at county commission meeting to address the Anderson County TV board.
I would love to see that board be restructured to where that the members of that board are, of course, of this contributing body and other county, city officials that need to be on that board, as well as we have a Office of Technology where Anderson County Television is housed. We have a representative from there as well, which is Wade Haney, the Director of Technology. But I would love to see that board restructured so that we can have people that have vested interests in it and don't ignore when we have meetings for it.
We also lack a member for Clinton City Schools since they joined up, but they've never
They've
wanted
never
a
attended.
member.
Yeah, so.
I can't
I
hear
don't
you,
know if they
Andy.
need that or not.
Sorry, go ahead.
Clinton City Schools doesn't currently have a member for it, so I was just adding to to what Ryan was saying, that we may need to look into getting a member from their board as well, a representative for them as well. Because I just thought about it just now as we were talking
Yeah,
about it.
the representing government bodies that benefit or utilize ACTV, I would love to have those folks on there to be able to do that and restructure that. And I'm happy to work with with, was planning on working with Jay on that after the election cycle, as it would only confuse matters to have that at this point.
Any further discussion?
Yeah, I'm not happy with the motion at all, and I'm gonna vote against it. Thank you.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say no.
No.
2 noes? Is that right? Motion passes.
Thank you. Thank you very much, guys. Thank you.
All right, Commissioners, I'm sorry to be so confusing, if we'll go back up to the top, which will be the consent agenda.
Move for approval as a group.
Have a motion by Commissioner Fritz to approve items 0 through 24 as a group.
Second.
Did you second? Seconded by Commissioner Smallridge. Any discussion? Commissioner Denenberg.
Mr. Tyler? Yes. Could you come to the microphone, please? Within the package of what was just approved for, as a group, there were some items in here that I'd like a little more explanation on.
Okay, yes.
Number 7 in particular, and number 13, I believe it is, or 11, excuse me. There are 4 cell phones. One is for $9,000 to cover the balance of the year. And the other was exactly the same thing. So we have a total of $9,500 being requested. How many phones does this actually cover?
It's close to 83. I'd have to double check our bill. 91? 91.
91? And what is the, are all the phones billed at the same rate, or is the same
Yeah,
amount
and
paid on them?
And they actually went up on us in mid-year, so we are in the process
Why
of,
did you let them do that?
well, we didn't like it, I can tell you. But we
Come on.
are in the process of renegotiating
Okay.
and looking possibly at other contract providers, but
Well, what I was going to ask is, even though these are the things that commission doesn't have to approve, I would appreciate on all of them, especially when things like this, just a little more explanation, a little more detail, so we know exactly how much $9,500 is going to cover.
yeah.
Is it one phone, or is it 100
Well,
phones?
it definitely
So-
wouldn't be one phone, so,
Well, you just never know.
So
yeah.
if I could, since you called and asked me about this one, I did some research. So the phone bill is split between 101 and 122. That's why number 13 comes into play.
Yeah, right,
So $500 is always paid out of 122 and the difference out of 101.
okay.
So, and it's 91 phones, and it's, normally the rate is 5103 a line. So,
Well, you had given me that amount of
Yeah.
$51 and something. All right, thank you very much, I appreciate it.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say no. Motion carried.
okay, 25 through 30 are transfers from the school department that affect major line items or payroll.
Move for approval as a group.
Second.
Commissioner Fritz moves to approve items 25 through 30 as a group, seconded by Commissioner Jameson. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say no. Motion carried.
Okay, the next one up is 31 from Circuit Court, Rex Lynch. It's $3,645 from archives restricted funds to other supplies and materials for acid-free archival storage boxes.
Move to approve.
Commissioner Denenberg moves to approve item number 31,
Second.
seconded by Commissioner Smallridge. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say no. Motion carried.
Okay, 32 and 33 are from the county clerk, Jeff Cole. They both are increasing revenue and data processing equipment for $3,000 and county clerk postage for $16,000.
Move for approval.
I'll second.
I'm sorry, Commissioner Fritz, was that as a group, sir?
Yeah.
Commissioner Fritz moves to approve items 32 and 33 as a group, seconded by Commissioner Denenberg.
Yes, sir.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. Motion carried.
Okay, number 34 is from the library. It's $1,000 from restricted reserve for trustees commission. Actually, I did this one because they need more money in trustees commission.
And these are a lot of housekeeping issues that
Yes.
we get at the end of the year.
Trustees commission
correct?
is the percentage that the trustees office takes. So if we're having to get more money for trustees commission, it usually means that we're having a pretty good year with property collections and.
Move for
sales.
approval.
Commissioner Smallridge moves to approve item number 34. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Jameson. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say no. Motion carried.
Okay, number 35 is from tourism, increasing hotel motel tax $11,000, contributions to the chamber for $10,000, and trustees commission $1,000.
Move to approve.
Commissioner Denenberg moves to approve item number 35,
Second.
seconded by Commissioner Fritz. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say no. Motion carried.
So number 36 is from the self-insurance fund, Randy Walters. It's increasing the revenue for Flex, $20,000, and the the code for Flex, 340, $20,000.
Move for approval.
Commissioner Fritz moves to approve item number 36. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Smallridge. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say no. Motion carried.
Okay, number 37 is from ACTV Channel 95, increasing the part-time help $5,500 for a total of benefits $5,770, and using their committed for social and cultural.
Move for approval.
Commissioner Fritz moves to approve item number 37. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Jameson. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say no. Motion carried.
Okay, and number 38 is from the property assessor. It's increasing city share reappraisal costs $5,950, and increasing data processing services $5,950. It's for a bill they have from the state for the reappraisal charges for data processing.
I'll move to approve.
Commissioner Denenberg moves to approve item number 38. Excuse me, do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Smallridge. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say no. Motion carried.
Okay, 39 and 40 are from the highway department. We're taking 40 out because it's not necessary, so we're only doing 39. It's for $1.3 million, $500 for capital outlay bridge construction, and $800,000 for asphalt.
Move for approval.
Commissioner Fritz moves to approve item number 39. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Denenberg. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say no. Motion carried.
Okay, 41 through 51 are from the sheriff's department.
Move for approval as a group.
I do have a couple of, under 46, I've changed the revenue to $15,232.14 from 475,906,000 Tennessee Highway Safety off. We got another deposit in, a revenue deposit in this week that Tyler wasn't aware of, and that lowers the court wages to $577.97 for $19,000.
Commissioner Fritz, your motion is to approve as a group 41 through 51.
Yes.
All right. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Jameson. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say no. Motion carried.
52 and 53 are from the finance department. One is correction of benefits for 2 departments with a major line item, and the other one is for trustees commission and 151 debt service, $5,000.
Move for approval as a group?
Commissioner Smallridge moves to approve item number 52. Is that right, Robbie?
52 and 53.
52 and 53 as a group,
Yes.
sir? Commissioner Denenberg seconded the motion. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say no. Motion carried.
Okay, 54 is a transfer involving payroll with EMS. It's increasing medical personnel 15,000, overtime 141, and unemployment compensation $750, and decreasing several, more than 10 items here. Accountants, Social Security, state retirement, medical insurance, short-term travel, whatever he has some money available in, I think he's trying to find it here to increase.
Do we have a motion? Commissioner Denenberg moves to approve item number 54. Do we have a second?
Second?
Second by Commissioner Smallridge. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say no. Motion carried.
Okay, 55 is a appropriation from the Sheriff's Department for $34,000 from unassigned fund balance to gasoline.
I don't understand why they need an increase in gasoline, but I'll make an approval.
Commissioner Fritz moves to approve item number 55.
I'll second for.
Second by Commissioner Denenberg. We need to look into this and find out what the cause is. Any discussion?
I don't know whether, no one knows with the costs keep going up higher and higher, but, do you think this will get you through to the end of the year?
Well, until yesterday's 10-cent jump, we hope so. I think it will. It's a moving target. We projected high. What we don't use just come back into the county.
Right. They've already spent $231,782 compared to $182 last year, so.
Maybe we need to go back to horses and,
I actually told her we have some on the way to some Mustangs, but not.
I figure between the sheriff and the EMS, the gasoline cost is gonna be sky high.
To me, every department's seeing those. We probably had more gasoline amendments this year than
I'm sure.
any
No
other
doubt.
code.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say no. Motion carried.
Okay, 56 and 57 are from the finance. Again, they're both using unassigned, well, change that. 56 is from the finance department using unassigned fund balance. I had $12,000 on here, but I looked at it today, and after May's numbers went in, I need $25,000 to finish for trustees commission. We've had a really good year with collections, so
So we're changing the 12
to
25.
25. That's what it's expected to be. We've already expended 357, and there'll probably be another 14 or 15,000 next month.
I'll move to approve.
Commissioner Denenberg moves to approve items number 56 and 57?
Haven't done
Correct.
57 yet, just 56.
Just 56? Okay.
Whatever.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Smallridge.
I have
Any
a
discussion? Commissioner Smallridge.
Yeah, I just want, so this is a shortage in the funds?
Well, the trustees commission is, anytime the trustees office collects any revenues for the county, this is the general funds portion, sales tax, property taxes, they get a 1%, they keep 1% of that, of those collections, and whenever the trustees commission, we spend more, it means we've had more collections this year than, I upped it at the beginning of the budget season, but we've even spent more than what I projected this year's
Okay.
collections.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say no. Motion carried. Also, before we continue on, I want to put something on the record. The group motions we voted for a while ago that was to cover overtime budgets for the jail and the sheriff's office, I was not included in that. None of mine was in there, just for the record, in case someone's curious about that.
Okay, and the last one I have is from Solid Waste for $7,935. It is correcting a few benefit codes that need more money in them than we started out at the beginning of the year.
I'm
So,
sorry, Robbie, I forgot about that one. That's item 58.
57, Solid Waste. It's from me, and I say see attached. It's Solid Waste.
Okay, I'm sorry.
It's from the
I got
Solid
you.
Waste, so I did it separate because
I
it's
got
one,
you.
it's Fund 116.
Do we have a motion? Motion by Commissioner Denenberg to approve item number 57.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Fritz. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed say no. Motion carried.
Okay, we've already done A, so B is for an ASE extender for the animal shelter. Brian might could speak to this a little bit, but basically it's gonna cost us almost $5,000 in the budget next year to add this, but until we do, we won't be able to get any kind of cameras or better internet at the animal shelter. Is Brian?
Yeah, this expense adds a dedicated fiber pipe directly to the animal center. This will enable us to expand into the future. Also, if we do end up moving to a different facility or upgrading, that can go with us and move with us. We would have to change the circuits with AT&T, but other than that, that equipment would remain ours on that side of the lease. But this would provide data. It would provide the phone system interlinks to the county, and it would also provide ample database for bandwidth for you all to be able to watch, or whoever is assigned to the cameras, if that veterinarian or whoever is set to do that, that will provide that functionality. This is the beginning of it. There will be some other things that need to happen. We will need some switching and firewalling for that structure, but at the beginning, this is the first step. This is what it takes to begin that march.
So it's $413.10 a month that will add to our 307
Yeah, code 307.
account. But Brian seems to think it'll take 6 months at least to get.
It'll take them a while before that's installed out at that location. They have to do so many permitting and then testing and checking, and then finally they'll give us a date, and then that always takes months. It'll probably be 6 months before we see anything at that facility.
Move for approval.
Commissioner Fritz moves to approve Section B request. I guess is how that's worded on today's agenda, Section B. Do we have a second? Second. Second by Commissioner Jameson. Any discussion?
Question.
Commissioner Smallridge.
These funds will come from the fund balance, unappropriated.
It will affect next year's budget. It doesn't have anything to do with it. Won't affect this year's budget. The remaining June, no money will be needed in this year. It's just something I'll add to the budget for next year before it's approved at commission. If approved at commission.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed say no. Motion carried. Section C, new business.
Under new business, there's 4 budget amendments I handed you all earlier. One is to add more money to the charter salaries. We're running out of money there, and I know we had a meeting this month and possibly another meeting in June is being discussed. And the other 3 are revenue increases with expenditure increases, so they have the revenue. The last one for the schools is a grant, but all of this is revenue backed.
Move for approval as a group.
I'll second.
Commissioner Fritz moves to approve, how you want that worded, Robbie, for the minutes?
New 4 amendments for section, for new business.
The 4 amendments under new business.
We'll list them individually in the minutes, and I'll do we actually will have the budget amendments in the group it goes with too, which we
Okay.
usually do, so.
And that's by Commissioner Fritz, seconded by Commissioner
You can do
Denenberg.
58 through 60.
I'm
If you
sorry?
wanted to do 58 through 61.
58 through 60. That's
61.
through 61.
Yes.
Sorry.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed say no. Motion carried. Anything else under new business?
I don't have anything else.
Old business. Anything under old business? Sheriff Barker.
Good afternoon. I just want to address this body about our last meeting and discussing pay raises, specifically with the sheriff's office. First off, I want you guys to know that I'm deeply grateful for what you've done for us, historically speaking. And I know that some of the discussions I've had individually with various commissioners and some of the things that we've talked about, one of the things that I'm hearing that sounds like that where as a body this is going to go is a 5% raise, perhaps across the board, excluding our corrections officers, our entry-level corrections officers, which we addressed last time, and we made some changes in our budget and cut some positions for operations to get that up. I would like to report back to you that we've seen an influx of applicants, and we're seeing people stick around as a result of changing that starting rate to the point that we actually see light at the end of the tunnel. We are still down, but we've run 2 or 3 classes through, and we've not seen the typical drops that we see. And I think that is in large part due to our competitive pay now for entry-level corrections. As a result of that, we've got a tremendous amount of feedback from other sheriff's offices across East Tennessee who talked about how they were excited to see that happen, and that it gave them hope, and some of them have interest in actually coming to apply with us, even as an entry-level position. So I'm here tonight to say this, as we move forward and look at taking care of the rest of the sheriff's office. I just want to say that, and again, I don't want to sound greedy, and I don't want to sound ungrateful, but I think it is within reason to include our entry-level people in this 5% as well. Now, I'm not from a perspective of thinking it's magic, not math, because I know you guys have a responsibility to the rest of the county employees too. But I wouldn't be doing my office and my people justice if I didn't at least make my point clear on that. I think that historically, our department, as the sheriff's office as a whole, has been somewhat neglected, and it dates way back beyond most of you even taking a commission seat. Part of that was dictated by the industry, and of course now we're suffering the consequences of a really strange economy where the employee has quite a bit of teeth, so to speak, as far as moving forward and being able to pick and choose what they do. So if anybody would like to ask me any questions or get any more input on what I'm saying, I'm standing here ready to go.
Any questions for the sheriff? Commissioner Smalley.
Yeah, so what are we talking about in terms of people and cost?
Yeah, I would have to defer to probably Robbie on those numbers, because I have talked to him about it.
So, excluding detention facility, so 76 people have already received a 5 to 6% raise. To give them an additional 5%, that'd be $164,855 for of the budget, which right now we have a surplus budget of $4,000. And I will say with Section B that we just approved, we don't have $4,000 anymore. So, I mean, the money, we would have a deficit budget if we approved any more raises for the county. And, I mean, I respect what Sheriff Barker's saying, and I'm honestly for any employee getting raises. I do think, I would like to point out too, that in the last year, we gave a 4% raise. We have a pending 5% raise on, you know, currently on the budget, in the budget. That hasn't been approved by full commission, but I do think it's a very good raise that we can support with a no tax increase. And I'm not saying even doing this would cause a tax increase, because I think we have done a deficit budget, but it's been 5 or 6 years ago. I also would like to keep in mind that we also did the ARP retention bonus, and I think that, you know, should offset some of the, I mean, even though it's a 5% raise, that should help. That also was in the month of May. And I will say this to the sheriff, all those employees that receive those raises not only they get 5 to 6%, it started in April in this year's budget. So they got it for 6 pay periods. Plus, our last pay period is 9 days. Our first pay period in July is 9 days June and 1 day July. So our employees don't even they get a day of a new raise instead, but the sheriff's office will get a complete, you know, 5 to 6% for that pay period too. So it's almost like 7 pay periods more than any other employee has received. I just think, I mean, I have to look at the numbers, and that's all I can do. Y'all get to make that decision. Ultimately, that's my 2 cents.
Yeah, to Robbie's point, he's exactly right, and I appreciate Robbie. He's been absolutely fabulous as far as helping us navigate this and take a look at it. My perspective is going to be completely different, because my argument is simply this. I think that anytime the sheriff's office asks for pay raises, it seems overwhelming, because just due to the number of employees we have. We're not a 19-person department. We're not a 4-person department. There are well over 100 of us. And I also think, and this is never popular because I experienced this as well at the city of Clinton, but I think we have to be set aside and looked at through a different lens, because as I spoke last time, we are literally the only job in the county that if you end up in a fist fight with a citizen, incarcerated or not, you don't get to go home. And I would guarantee you that any other office, any other employee would get to go home, and so would the 2 co-workers that watched the fight would go home for the week. We get about 15, 20 minutes to get ourselves squared away and get back in there. We are dealing with the absolute worst situations out there. And I'm just telling you, you know, we had a video presentation in the beginning when all this process started, where we basically put together our greatest hits, fighting naked people in the streets, fighting naked people in the jail, just the destruction and honestly just the folks we're dealing with. It's honestly an incredible job. And we do that so that you guys don't have to. And again, I'm not naive enough to think that that you can wave a magic wand, because I have no doubt, as a whole, that commission would love to slap a big 30% raise on them, you know, to make it a good livable wage for them. However, I know it comes down to math, but we are definitely in a position where I think that the benefit for us as a county is critical for any type of positive growth, because not only do we have to have an educated population, but we have to have a safe community, because people aren't going to come here and make investments in businesses and properties if we don't have a safe community. And that's what we're trying to do. And as I told you guys in previous budget hearings, unfortunately for you, because I wouldn't trade places with you, I really wouldn't. But county commission, the 16 of you, dictate how many inmates we can hold. You dictate our response times. And to a degree, based on our salary and our pay, you dictate to a degree what our retention levels are. Now, I don't think that pay alone is what makes the world go round in a sheriff's office, but it sure does help.
Commissioner Denenberg.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Sheriff Barker, is it possible to have some kind of spreadsheet to kind of give us old people the ability to hold in our hands information?
Absolutely.
Because I think it would be very beneficial to be able to take a look at the numbers of officers, the positions that they hold, types of responsibilities, et cetera, and the kind of pay that they're actually currently getting.
We can
And
put
any
together whatever
benefits
you would
that
like.
they may
Yeah,
be receiving as well.
absolutely.
I actually have that. I gave you, the first budget meeting we had in February or April, March about, I think
That was a long
I
time
know it.
ago, Robbie.
I can get those together for you again, and if not.
I may
Tyler,
have it at the house, but I'm not going to swear to it.
But yeah, we can do that.
Yeah, because I would like to be able to, like I said.
Makes complete sense. That's very reasonable.
Yeah,
Well, thank you.
Commissioner Smalley.
yeah, if I could just add to what Commissioner Denenberg said, also what the salary increase was from last year to this proposed budget, what was it?
You would like for this spreadsheet to
I-
reflect that?
Yes,
Okay,
yeah.
sure.
Any further discussion? Any more questions for the sheriff?
No, I get it. I mean, listen, I don't doubt where your hearts are. I really don't, okay? But again, I've been elected to run the sheriff's office, and I have to do my part for the men and women that literally put it on the line out there for us every day. We have, I give you example after example. As you guys know, we're dealing with a lot of death and a lot of trauma, and I can promise you, it stacks up on them. I mean, it's just the facts.
Yeah, Sheriff, I don't think you have to apologize for advocating for your people.
Thank you.
Any further questions for the sheriff?
I got one comment.
Commissioner White?
I think we're living in a day and time when there's so much uncertainty and so much concern about safety that the sheriff made a comment that this 16 commissioners, in a roundabout way, direct his performance level. And I think the people that have elected us to come up here and serve as commissioners, I think they expect us to keep our kids safe as much as possible and to provide the means. I know this is an election year, and I'm not advocating a tax increase, but for those 76 people that's already got a 5% increase, for us to sit here and neglect that 5% for them, I think that would be negligence on their part. I think we need to come up with a plan to fund this to where that we could retain these 76 people and let them build a life to where they've already committed to our safety. But I think we need to step up and come up with a way to fund this to keep these people not only happy on the job, and the sheriff said money is not maybe the key to this, but I know on our job, paydays are important, And I guess I've rattled on enough, but I think we need to, I'd like to see us keep all the good deputies and employees that we can, and keep them satisfied and keep them to where that they, when they go home of the evening, they've got enough of a paycheck to where they can eat a mistake every once in a while and drive them a GMC if they want to. Thank you.
Any further questions for the sheriff? Any further comments? All right. Mayor Frank?
It's not on the sheriff.
Oh, okay.
I just thought you were about to adjourn, so I wanted to.
Director Whitaker, you got?
I agree completely with what the sheriff has said. We all know that they're underpaid, and I can appreciate him standing for the employees. I guess I'm going to stand here for the rest and state, you know, that we still have folks. We need a succession plan for the sheriff's office that speaks to the turnover rate and where we're falling behind and what's behind it and how do we correct it. And it's not just money. Where do we meet those needs? Is it more employees so they can have a day off? What does it look like? So I agree we need that. We need that spreadsheet that speaks to the dollars, but we also need the other side of it too that will help us determine how to fix the issue across the board, not just for the SO, but for the county in general. I'd like to ask you to keep in mind we still have employees that are making minimum wage or not on that minimum wage, you know, when they can go to a fast food restaurant making $14 and $15 an hour, which is double. So, you know, I think we have some work to do, but on top of that, I want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you, because y'all have made a huge difference. I said last year, I'll say it again, 4%. I've been in local government over 20 years. 4% was the highest increase I've ever seen. So thank you. So 5% happens. Thank you. And the benefit changes that have been made. Thank you. I appreciate y'all.
Commissioner Denenberg.
Director Whitaker and Sheriff Barker, has any kind of survey been taken of the employees of the Sheriff's Department to see what things they would like to see as far as benefits or things that would make their job more attractive and more meaningful? Other than money?
I can speak for the benefit side. I can't speak to the other, but the two requests that come from EMS as well as SO as a first responders that they had on their benefits go into effect on 7/1, so that part will be met on the benefits.
Thank you.
Yeah, the conversations I've had with our deputies has primarily revolved around money. We actually took a look at, on the correction side, and it's probably been 2 months ago maybe, we have a very large amount of people who, I guess it was longer than 2 months ago now that I think about it, but at the time we had a large amount of people who were, who travel from other surrounding counties to come here to work at our corrections facility. Do you remember where we took the track, you know, round trip from home to work, what they were driving? And it is literally Campbell, Scott, Union, Knox, Roane, Morgan County, surrounding all around us, where they were coming to work at our jail. And so that was turning 12-hour days in some cases into 13-hour days for them, or if they worked over a couple hours, 14 to a 15-hour day. And it became pretty taxing on them. And one of the things that, as a result of that I heard personally, and this again, is not everybody said this, but the ones who do live out of town, they were, for the amount of money they were making, they couldn't afford to live in Anderson County, to purchase a home or anything like that. Now we're talking back when we were at the 1577 mark. So to answer your question, to my direct knowledge is it's all been about actual pay. and those, particularly those with families. Now, we got huge kudos over the clinic, and that's a little bit of a mixed bag from the sense that if you're 25 and single, the clinic don't mean a whole lot to you, right? But if you have any kids or your own, if you get any kind of age on you, you absolutely are in love with the clinic. They're fabulous down there, Whitney and them are. So it's something we can definitely explore and take a look at.
Well, I think it would be helpful to help get a real idea what the people out there are really wanting and needing, like I said, to make their job something that they're proud of and that they feel, glad to come to work. And
one of the things that I've taken on as just as a personal thing for myself is I've noticed at the jail when they do get their 15-minute breaks, right? They step outside and we have the overhang there in front of the facility. I was there not too long ago and I watched a deputy take a break and they had 15 minutes and they took basically three customers, for lack of a better word, family members of those who are incarcerated coming in, needing help with the kiosk to put money on their books or asking where they get a copy of a report or something. So one of the things that I think we need to do is we're on a beautiful piece of property down there that butts up to the Clinch River. So I'm actually trying to I've approached some people about donating the money, and we're going to use our maintenance crew and inmate labor to build 2 basically shelters on the back side to allow them to be out of public view, and that way, it's not the first point of contact when somebody comes through our front doors. To me, it's small things like that too that help change the culture.
well, and that's what I was getting at. I'm sure that there are things that they've thought about or would like to see, and, things that we can do as a body to help make them feel appreciated.
Yeah, Commissioner, that's an excellent point. Honestly, the two top things, hands down, is a living wage and help. And because we were literally, and that was no over exaggeration when I said we were 5 people away from having to look at shutting it down, because they just get grinded up with the amount of hours. And even still now, I had conversations this week where we're talking about people working 100 hours in a pay period. And one of the things we've done is changed it from 12s to 10s, and we're really trying our absolute best, and we're making it a real effort to when these people are off on their 3 days, because I believe from my conversations that they're okay with coming in a little early and they're okay with staying over, but it's important that after they pull those 4 days that they get this 3 days to recharge and take care of their own household. So I've asked the command staff down there to make every effort in the world to leave them alone on their days off, to the point that we're all still either going in as a command staff, going in and taking shifts to keep having the rank and file called in on their day off, or I've just recently went down and sat at the hospital again on inmate, because that's the one thing I can do. I have a laptop. My office is where my hind end is. So,
Well, how many or how much staff are you still in need of to get to where you're comfortable?
I'm sorry, Commissioner Denenberg, we had one that resigned yesterday, I think. I'm saying we're probably between 5 and 10 short, and we're getting ready to start a class Monday, I think.
Is the class full?
I think we did more interviews today, so I think we're still trying to fill 2 or 3 more seats. And what the sheriff's saying is absolutely correct. We are getting more applicants now, but I don't think word is filtered out to all 4 corners yet to really get the full impact of what we've done so far. When that happens, we may be okay, but we're still trying to catch that up.
Again, and I hate to harp on this again, but, you know, we hire a class of 10 to 15, right? And we run them through the initial orientation and training. Regardless of what we pay, we're going to run into people who have a TV idea of what
Oh,
law
I'm sure of
enforcement's
that.
about. It's just the car chases and everything works out well. In a correction setting, you're sitting in a comfy chair, pushing buttons, opening doors. They don't realize you're going to have face-to-face contact with them. And particularly in corrections, lots of times, first time they see a good fight, they quit. I know recently we had an employee, she basically said, hey, I love this place, but this isn't for me because I can't dedicate the kind of time it's going to take and as a single mother and still be able to raise my kids. So, but we're really hoping to get away from that. And what our game plan is from that point is we are going to, I've given them a directive to absolutely, let's just keep running classes till we find the 80-something that we have positions for till it sticks. And we'll get there eventually. You know, a little flexibility on our part and a little contortion on yours. We'll get there.
You want to arm wrestle?
No.
Oh, come on.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Sheriff.
Any more questions for the sheriff? All right, Mayor Frank.
Since the sheriff has advocated for his folks, I do want to just make a couple of comments here. We have a lot of people, such as EMS, our nurses at the health department, fleet services. The sheriff's department doesn't run unless fleet and their mechanics make the vehicles go, buildings and grounds. And I absolutely love and respect the sheriff's department and believe in security. But what we're talking about is equity for all of the employees. And this commission has done a fantastic job in this budget cycle. Last year, you gave 4% raises. This year, you made it possible for those officers that he's mentioning to get between 5 and 6%. And then the jail, you gave almost, I guess, a little, some 18 to 19%, which has a long time been needed in order to address those issues and bring them up. That's been a multi-year need and discussion. But what effectively we're talking about is now carving out one group and giving them an additional 5%. And I can't be quiet at that point and say, well, then we have a lot of employees that would like another 5%. The highway department would like another 5%. The EMS department would like another 5%. And I don't think we want to get into that because we're in a great place. We've got good morale. We're raising wages. We've done those. We've done some COVID payments. We're improving the equipment. We're doing some things that are advancing us. Are we where we need to be? No, we've still got some places to go, but I do think it would be to throw us into a deficit budget for just that particular group, and then the other employees in the county are going to be questioning me. They're going to say, Mayor, why didn't you fight hard enough? They're going to be questioning Kim, and they're going to be questioning you. And so are there other things that we can do? Let's keep working on it, absolutely 100%. But I just don't, I think it's going to kind of be a bomb that you throw out there, and no disrespect at all to the sheriff, but I think it would just kind of blow everything up. The other thing I wanted to say is I had one commissioner on budget committee and then also a commissioner from operations question the school's deficit budget. Their budget was deficit, I think 180-some thousand. I don't have my numbers in front of me. Is that correct, Robbie? 1.8, I mean, yeah. I got my number. Boy, I wish it was 180. 1.8 million. That was because they did not have their actual projected revenues yet. I did talk to Dr. Parrott tonight before this meeting started and asked, now that he has more firm numbers, could we plug those revenues in so that this commission can say to the public, we are presenting a balanced budget, there's not a deficit budget, the schools wouldn't have a deficit budget. And he said, absolutely, now that we've got those numbers, commission is welcome to plug those in. So I think that would be another, a good thing if we went ahead and plugged those in. It wouldn't affect the rest of the budget because they have already budgeted those line items for expenditures. They just didn't have the revenue. So now that they've got that, it's well over the 1.8 million. So that's something, if you all want to do that, Robbie could add that. I don't know if that even needs a motion to add those revenues in.
I'll add that for county commission meeting and bring in those updated numbers.
Yep.
Be glad.
Any questions for the mayor? Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
Director Sweet, go ahead.
I wasn't even planning to stick around. I think I'll take a little bit of a different spin. I do support what the sheriff is asking. If anybody understands public safety outside of the sheriff's department on how it is to recruit and retain, I have been dealing with it for a number of years. It's only getting worse. So I do support what the sheriff is asking, but I think sometimes you dig one hole to fill another. Our EMTs start out at $13.25 on the hour. Our advanced EMTs are $15 an hour, and our medics are $17.50 an hour. All of that is below what jailers and patrol officers, I believe, start. $18.81 now? 61. Okay, $18.61. So I understand that. I understand that it is difficult to recruit and retain people when others are going up, the cost of living is going up. So I do understand that. We have been, my department has been in a good spot for about the past 6 months. You will see turnover in public safety. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I agree wholeheartedly with what the sheriff said in his description of the job that patrol officers and correction officers see and deal with. And my department is right there. My department, my medics and EMTs, Hollywood cannot duplicate what they deal with and what they see and what they encounter on a daily basis. And we're asking them to do it at $13.25 an hour, $15 an hour, and $17.50 an hour. Now that's pre 5%, so that will go up should that pass. But all that still remains lower than what they're looking at. So I, again, want to echo that I do support what they have done, and I do support as a citizen of Anderson County to add to that. And I do support, and I do agree, and I do thank you all for what you've done so far. And I hope full commission passes the budget with that pay increase in it. But I do want to emphasize that there is a long way to go when it comes to public safety. We're seeing things that, as far as staffing goes, we're seeing things that we haven't seen before. And it is difficult to keep up with that trend. I've started recruiting people outside of this state. Matter of fact, I had a lady that just put in an application. She works FDNY, and she's moving to Tennessee, and she put in an application. So I've seen people from all over this country. I've hit all three West Coast states, Oregon, Washington, and California, and we have people working for us now that have come from those states because they're moving to Tennessee, and praise God for that. But we're trying to capture and do a lot of things that we can. So I do want to emphasize that, and much to what Kim Whitaker says, we can't stay where we're at. If their pay gets to where it is, we can't stay there. That's one thing that's difficult. I know for our department and their department, we have a 20-step plan or a 20-step system, but it's not funded. So my staff doesn't know, if they start today, what are they going to make 5 years from now? I don't know. I said, I wait for county commission to see if they'll fund a step increase or they'll fund a percentage. I don't get to automatically give them that step increase. I don't get to tell them, hey, come work for us 5, 10, 15 years from now, here's what your pay will be. I don't get to provide that. So I think there is a lot of work that could be done on this. I think it's more than one meeting, and I think it's an opportunity to try and say, well, what could we do, not for just my department, but for all departments, to improve the pay. That was the number one. I did a survey for my staff. I do one about every quarter. And I asked them, out of these out of these 7 things, rate the most important to the least important, and pay was number 1, and number 2 was my mental well-being, my mental health. The very last one, which is, I take it as a good thing, was their health benefits, because they believe we have good health benefits to them. So they are least worried about that. But those were the top 2 things for my staff when I surveyed them. But I just want to say, I think we should look at this much more aggressively, in depth, and start to build something that can be considered long-term wise, not just, hey, we've got a problem, let's fix it with pay now, and then coming back 5 years or 2 years later and asking the same thing. I would like to encourage that, but again, I do support, and I'm always amiss, especially in the sheriff's department, dispatchers, because they dispatch for us as well. I believe that is something that should have an additional increase off of what they've already seen. I know Tyler's waiting now that I've spoken.
Any questions for Director Sweet?
Thank you, Chair.
All right. Thank you,
just wanna
Director.
be very, very brief, just to be a cherry on top here, is most of this that we're talking about is not new money from the county commission. This is 2 positions that we had that resigned late spring. We would have done this back in February, back in October. But these are positions that resigned in the spring. We elected not to fill those positions, and we used those funds to give our deputies more money. That couldn't have happened without that. So I do want to point that out. And the other thing too is when we're looking at this, is just look at the competition in terms of who are we losing people to. We have far more competitors, I think, than I would say a lot of other departments do. People are not leaving Rex Lynch's office to go to the circuit court clerk in Campbell County. But we've got Norris, Oliver Springs, we've got Clinton PD, Oak Ridge, just in our backyard that we're trying to compete with. So I just wanted to throw that out there, but also just a reminder that, again, this is not new money. The jail, 100% new money, and forever grateful for you guys for approving that. But this other part is positions that we cut and disperse amongst other staff members to make this happen.
Any questions for Director Mays? Commissioner Creasy?
Are we complete with our agenda items?
Yes, sir.
Are we ready to adjourn?
Any further business come before the committee? We are adjourned.
That's one way of doing it, Jerry.